like to call this meeting of the Maple Run Unified School District Board of Directors to order at 6:04 p.m. Today is Wednesday, November 20th, 2019. We have 9 members present, 1 member on the phone, representing 8 votes. First item, and we're at the Northwest Technical Center. Thank you, Lynn. First item is the agenda review, and I would like to move item 8C because Kevin couldn't be here tonight. He's sick, and we need him for that. So I would like to remove 8C. Are there any other changes to the agenda? All right, seeing none, I look for a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
My question was, I thought that we were going to discuss board goals tonight.
I didn't get any. I got some from you, and I got one from Alicia this morning, so not
No,
yet.
we were going to discuss it.
No?
I was under the impression that we were going to set up a meeting to do just goals. Not at a
Were you going to send out
single
some notes?
meeting.
Which I did when I got them. I got them last night, so I
Okay.
sent them out. And the way we left it was people were going to send me ideas for goals. I was going to put them together in a list that we could then all work from.
Okay.
Let's do this.
Okay, I'd look for a motion to approve the agenda as modified.
So moved.
Thank you, Al.
Second.
Thank you, Sally. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Nelda. Ayes have it, 8-0.
It's not secure.
All right, please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item 4 is visitors. And thanks to Leanne regularly bringing in her advisory committee, we have lots of visitors tonight. Thank you all for being here. Do we have any visitors that want to address the board? Thank you. And now I'll turn it over to Leanne.
Yes, welcome everyone. My name is Leanne. I am the director of the Northwest Technical Center, and Lisa DeRocher here, the assistant director. So every November we host the Maple Run Unified School Board meeting, and we like to combine that with our advisory committee meetings. And you're not going to be standing that long, so it should only be about 10 minutes before you're dispersed into your meetings. But I thought it would be really powerful for our board to see the support that the Northwest Technical gets. Twice a year, we have mandatory meetings where people from business and industry come and counsel our instructors on curriculum, industry-recognized credentials, dual enrollment, equipment. It runs the gamut. We're always looking for field trips, work-based learning opportunities. And so this is really an opportunity for you as business and industry to let our instructors know what you're looking for your workforce. So thank you very much for being here. We wanted to also point out that we have some students that are going to talk a little bit about their program. They're going to focus on dual enrollment and industry-recognized credentials. But before I do that, there was a folder on the table on the inside, on the outside, that some of you may have picked up. And inside are some interesting data points around Northwest Technical Center. We have our school profile. We have a list of all of the industry recognized credentials and the dual enrollment that we offer in the Northwest Technical Center specific to every program. We have ideas around advisory committees that you may or may not have. We also have our student application, so we're in full enrollment here right now, hoping for students to learn about the Northwest Tech Center and want to apply to our programs, and so the application is in there. And there's also the career development booklet, which offers courses that you're going to hear about from our students that they can take after school and in the summer and also during our school vacations. So opportunities that students can take outside of the school day, both from BFA and Northwest Tech Center. I'm happy to answer any questions, but I think that our students are ready to share a little bit of their program. So we're going to have you come stand up here in the front area. Good opportunities to public speak.
and be on television.
That too. Yeah.
Some,
Why don't we start with you, Cameron? Can you just introduce yourself and tell us what program you're from? We're going to go down the line, and then we'll come back to you, and then you can tell us a little bit about what you do for industry-recognized credentials, and then the dual enrollment as well.
Alright, I'm Cam Osmar. I'm in Building Trades 3 right now as a third-year student.
I'm Brendan Messier. I'm in my second year in medical professions, and I'm Skills USA State President.
I'm Sadie Callan, it's my second year in the Human Services program. I'm Kylie Gates, it's my second year in the Human Services program, and I'm interested to do special ed in early childhood.
I'm Richard Page. I'm a first student in auto, building trades, a completer of outdoor tech, and I'm currently doing welding 2, which I finished welding 1.
I'm Ethan Ireland. I'm in my third year of engineering technologies.
I'm Colin Lund, and I'm in my second year of digital media.
Through Building Trades, I've gone many credentials like OSHA 10, CPR and AED, man lift training, and NCER, which is from safety to framing. It's like a huge variety of credentials you can get through that training. And currently we're doing welding on Mondays through our classes, which is a lot of fun actually. It's opening me up to new job opportunities I can do after school. Through the career development, I actually took welding 1 and 2 last year, which opened me up to all sorts of types of welding, and it kind of like narrowed my view down to what type of welding I actually want to do after college.
So in the medical professions program, we get a few industry recognized credentials such as CPR certification, first aid certification, and AED certification. But in your second semester of medical professions 2, you either receive your LNA, licensed nursing assistant, or pharmacy tech certifications. And that is built into the curriculum of the class. So you don't have to do anything outside of the class to achieve those certifications. And for dual enrollment or college credit, we have 3 credits for human biology, 3 credits for medical terminology, and 3 credits for intro to healthcare starting this year. And what's awesome about that is also built into the class's curriculum. So the course itself doesn't change, you just choose to sign up for these CCB classes.
Again, I'm in the Human Services program. I just want to start off by saying how great of a program it is. Everybody's kind to one another, great support systems. It's offered a lot of great deals of opportunities, and it's by far the most helpful class I've taken within my 4 years at BFA. We also received a bunch of industry recognized credentials such as CPR, bloodborne pathogens, Stop the Bleed, Mandated Reporter, Confidentiality and Communications, and so on. It also teaches us a lot of responsibilities because we get to go on internships, we get to choose a location we're at, we get to apply and get an internship. It gives us a chance to get our foot in the door and practice real life skills such as professional work habits, responsibilities, time management, so on. Another great thing is our English is included in it, so we get to do a lot of English work that ties into the field that we want to go into. For example, we've done our college essay, and we just do a lot of things to help prepare us for the next level of education if we decide that's what we want to do. I'm also taking the paraprofessional online course, which helps me learn and support kids academically and socially. And it's great. In my opinion, that's the best thing we get in this class because it helps us be eligible for a job right after high school. And Kylie's going to talk about dual enrollment in our Human Services class. So I'm currently taking Intro to Human Services course through CCV. It's a 3-credit course, which is really grateful to be able to take it. When in the class, we learn about a lot of stuff, and we have a lot of assignments due, but it prepares us to be better people. Some of the stuff that we cover and go over in the class, because it's online, everything's online obviously. So some of the stuff we do is access and barriers.
to knowing who like qualifies for services and who doesn't qualify for services. Also learning about poverty and how people who like were once homeless overcame that and are better people now. The welfare system, we also learn a lot about ethics and barriers. And then finally we learn a lot about social work and all the different jobs we can get. And while taking the class, it's not only preparing me for my future, but it's also boosting my confidence to want to be a better human services worker. And also when taking the course, it's preparing me for college so I know what the caseload's like.
I'd like to start off with saying that auto is an amazing class to take. And in our auto class, we have the chance to get 10 college credits to Lake Region, I believe that is the college. And we have the chance to get our 8 ASEs, or Automotive Service Excellence. A couple are in in engine repair and automatic transmission axles and many more. We also, in auto, we are sponsored by, or we are certified by NAFTA, which is the ASE certified group that certifies ASE. And we also did a challenge last year where we won the People's Choice Award for the Harley Davidson that we built and Auto 2. It was an amazing bike. I loved it myself.
Mrs. Wright get to keep it? Did Mrs. Wright get to keep it?
I'm not sure.
I'm sure she wanted it.
I was, like I mentioned, I am the first year completer of Outdoor Tech, in which we did a lot of game of logging, where we got certified in chainsaw safety. We also got we also were trained in wildness first aid kit. That was a big one in there. I also completed Welding 1, which is your 30 hours of welding certified. And I am now taking Welding 2, which I'll be done in a couple weeks, but it's an amazing class. I think all kids should have, research and see how it is through the career department, which is different than the Northwest Tech Center. And I believe that it is one of the, I think it's a good skill to have in the construction world, and it can help me in building trade and auto world.
So in engineering technologies, we do we learn a bit about sort of the basics of both mechanical and electrical engineering. So in mechanical engineering, we learn how to draw pictorially, which is how you depict a part you would want to create. We also worked on some of the machines that you can use to manufacture a workpiece. We also, in the electrical year, we learned the basics of electricity, as well as creating our own circuits and etching our own circuit boards. Now, I don't believe there are any college credits offered through the course itself, although with help from the generosity of the Tech Center, I was able to obtain my CompTIA A+ certification, which is it's an IT certification for consumer electronics.
So I haven't always been in digital media. My sophomore year I was in culinary, and I just decided that's not what I wanted to do. So I went to Miss Kemp's class last year, digital design, which I loved. So I then went on to Mr. Sorrentino's class when that switched over. So I just really like the Tech Center because of all the different opportunities it gives us. The one that I'm currently taking place in right now is I'm Dino's intern. I'm the outreach coordinator intern. But in digital media, they offer 2 programs through CCV. They're both 3 credits. One is Intro to Film and then Intro to Adobe Creative Cloud. So at the end of this year, just for signing up, I'll have 6 college credits. And then I'll also get the opportunity to become a certified Adobe Associate in Photoshop and Premiere Pro. They're all great opportunities, and I'm very happy to be taking place and getting the opportunity to do them. Nice.
Does a lot of work, so he'll keep you busy.
Oh, yeah.
I sure will.
There are two programs here that are not represented. One is Public Safety and Fire Services. Due to work schedules, we didn't have a student represent. And then the other is for cosmetology. They're actually collaborating with the BFA drama production, Matilda, and they're doing the hair for all of the productions, hair and makeup. So wanted to make sure that they got a shout out as well. Are there any questions for the students that you want to ask them before they head out and do homework?
I'm just.
Sure.
Okay. So I wasn't in public safety, but my brother was enrolled in that while he was here at school. It was probably a lot longer, I think. But anyways, it gave him an opportunity to go out and practice what he enjoyed, which was helping people. And he got his certification to become an EMT. And through that, he went on further and now is a paramedic up in Maine. And I know it just started out when he was at the tech center where he found out that that's the job that he loved, and it gave him an opportunity to practice that while he was at school. So it was good for him to do that.
Very good. Jack?
So, having been in education 48 years, I've heard many student presentations, and I commend all of you. Were fantastic public speakers. You probably were nervous inside, because I'm always nervous even though I'm experienced. But you did a great job. I'm so impressed with the information you gave, but also the fact that you can stand on your feet and explain it very articulately, and I commend all of you. Fantastic. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Leanne. Next item is the consent agenda. The only item on the consent agenda is the minutes of November 6th. Does anybody need the minutes removed for questions? If I don't hear any objections, the consent agenda will be approved. It is approved. Thank you. Item 7A, Rescind Policy B06. Does anybody want to talk about this?
Yeah, I will, Jeff. As you recall, we talked about this at the last meeting, that when you, as a board, approved to post this for rescind. Get my verb tense correct. It was posted for 10 days, and we didn't receive any feedback or comments on it.
Yep, and this was a VSBA recommendation.
Yeah, VSBA recommendation, as I said last time, we do not, any work that would a doctor would come into, and I know, come in and do in the schools. I know there's concern about a doctor that come and provide services to staff at BFA. That would fall under their service provider HIPAA policy, not. And FERPA would keep all the student information private as well.
Okay. Can I get a motion to rescind policy B06?
So moved.
Thank you, Al. Second. Thank you, Jack. Any discussion? We all set on this? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Thank you, Nilda. The ayes have it, 8-0. Item 8A, new business, prioritizing administrative goals.
So, Jeff, we have a handout that's coming over, and I think Leanne's gonna post it up on the whiteboard as well. And I'm gonna let my colleague Angela Stebbins talk a lot about this. I'm filling in for Kevin a little bit on this. But we're here representing the leadership team and the work in which we've done. We haven't really rehearsed, so do you want to take it from here and I'll fill in, or?
What, I volunteered to help Kevin present this to the board, and unfortunately he's not well enough to be here, so Bill was going to pitch in, but I can give the overview, and then certainly Bill or any of our lovely colleagues in the room can chime in if I miss anything. So we worked together at our administrative retreat in August and reviewed where we've gone, the work we'd done, our 5-year plan, and then we really did some brainstorming, some visioning about what the work was that was in front of us that we needed to do. And through that conversation, we brainstormed and we came up with, it was really a list of, things that we felt we had accomplished, and then the issues and challenges that were still presented in front of us. So with that information, we started to move forward, and then we realized we really needed to stop and prioritize where we wanted to start and how we wanted to work on these items. So what you have in front of you is the list, the 10 things that we talked about that we felt were really important for us to be working on, and then we all voted. So we put a number 1, we all voted on each of these 10 things. The number 1 was the most top priority item, and 10 was least priority. So you can see we did, and I kind of rounded it down. This is where we landed in terms of the priorities, and we put them so you could see where they landed. I put in bold the top 5, because if you look at it statistically, 2 through 5 are extremely close in where their ratings fell. Number 1 across, obviously our rating was 2.3, so many of the administrators gave that one of the highest priorities, and this is need for additional behavioral support, the work around the behavior support for our students. So that was across all the schools, that was rated very high. And then 2 through 5, centralization of technology, including the data systems, the proficiency-based graduation requirements, which also included the high school transcript, the curriculum, assessment, and reporting across all the schools to have it in common. And then the 5th one, which ranked pretty high as well, defining the line between alignment and autonomy. So those we really felt were the top 5 we wanted to put our focus on. The pieces down below, I think we will still be working on those, but some of it will come from working on the top 5. Just to clarify as well, when you start looking at these, they overlap. There's connections between many of them, so it's not like you can work on one and not the other. And number 5 is certainly an ongoing conversation that we've been having since we merged. Where do buildings need to be different, and where should we all be the same? What is that really looking like? So as we rated these and we found what our priorities were, then the next part of the conversation that we're working on at this time is, what do we mean when we say centralization of technology? Because in one person's head, this is what they're thinking, another person. So we're actually working, and we've assigned each of these top 5 to different administrative subgroups, and we're presenting, here's our definition. Do we all agree on it? What do we need to discuss? Because you can't work on something if you haven't really identified what it means and what it looks like. So that has been our work, and we're kind of working our way through those top few right now. And then once we have those, and again, it's not like we work on one and don't work on the next. They have to be worked on simultaneously because they connect, and they're all very important. I think what you'll find, especially in those last 5, in terms of budgeting and purchasing, we're going to be working on that and trying to get, the best return on our money for purchases. We're going to be doing that through Martha's help. We don't, so that's still going to be happening as we work on all these other things. We also, like the number 9, common forms. Well, a lot of the things that are going to be talked about at the top, we're going to decide what's the same, what's different, and if there's a form related, we're going to have it be the same. So, that could be related to the reporting. That could, I talked about having common reporting across the schools, what that looks like for parents and that type of thing. So those would be forms and things we decide on as we work on each of those. So we're working through these. We will be continuing to provide updates to the board on where we are. And I know one of the conversations that Kevin had with you, Jeff, as well was, when principals report out, we have, there's wonderful, amazing things happening in all of the schools, but this shows you these are our challenges. This is what we're working on. These are the things that on a day-to-day basis are what we're trying to figure out and trying to work together as best we can to have a common connection and vision across all of Maple Run.
think the only thing I would add, Angela, is that we talked about once we had definitions, then we could start to say, so once we know we are all talking about whatever one you pick there, and we have a common definition for what that means, then we can start to take those parts and say, okay, what's the end look like? And backwards plan that to say, okay, what are the actions to get us there? And we need to do those for each 5, because as you said earlier, there's overlaps and there's commonalities. And that will actually help us create a priority list if we know that by doing a certain action, it may affect 3 of these areas.
Yeah.
So then we can talk about how are we working smarter by in which order do we try to tackle these. Now there might be something when we look at all of these top 5 and say, there are some actions that might only affect 1, but it has to happen first, because it's gonna have a cascade effect into other issues. So it's gonna be a big project management piece that as we look at our 5-year plan and then look each year at what we try to do to help move these forward.
And that's what I wanted to ask is how this relates to the 5-year plan. Do these items cover like everything that's in this year's?
No, well, that's what as you remember when we looked at, Kevin gave the update of the 5-year plan, and we looked at that at the retreat. We had the right question of what have we done well, what are our challenges, and what are things that we've moved but are still challenges, and this is how we got to that top 10 by doing that work in our retreat this past summer. So we're really feeling if these first 5 can really be moved, not only is it gonna help move the district forward, but it's gonna help our staff work smarter. Because it's not about trying to, we know everyone's working hard, it's how do we coordinate the efforts a little bit better. So, I mean, the IT one's a really crucial one is, how do we make it so the IT's not a burden, but a support and actually saves time for folks. And that's got a huge implementation hump to get over. And that's, we have to figure that out.
Is there a plan for reporting out on these things as to progress?
I don't think we've done that yet. I think that's in my conversations with Kevin, I know that there's that topic is there, but we haven't made that type of schedule yet going forward, because we haven't gone through and defined all these and defined what are the actions that need to be done.
Okay.
And that's the work we're tackling, I think 1 or 2 of these every meeting for just the definitions right now. Like we did the Centralization of Technology last week. I frankly have forgotten what we're doing this week, but I know it's
number 3.
Is a proficiency-based
Yes.
graduation requirement definitions coming.
Yeah.
And like when I see, for me, when we see that, we're going to talk about, is that just a high school or is that pre-K-12? The way I've gotten to learn our team, I bet that's going to be a pre-K-12 conversation, not a high school conversation.
Okay. So as Angela said, this is the first time that we're replacing the principal's reports with something like this. I think in the future, updates on this material certainly would be useful.
And I think, once as we bring back up those plans, so I agree with that, Jeff, and then also input on, what's the frequency the board would like to hear on this, and, how in depth.
Yep.
We can, I'm sure we'll be so steeped in it, we could get really in depth in it. So it's just trying to find the right grain size.
And it'll probably depend on the item.
And I think we're gonna have to try it a couple of different ways and realize we're gonna have to make improvements as we go.
Yeah. Any questions, Jack?
I've got a question. Number 5. That can either be one direction or the other. Like, are you concerned about how special ed is growing, or do you want to grow special ed?
Are you talking about number 6?
Yeah, no, I'm sorry, no, number 6.
So we're concerned, I think, and I would ask any of my colleagues to correct me, but we're concerned about the growth in numbers and intensity. It's a both. Not just numbers, but our special ed, even if the caseload isn't changing that much, we're seeing much more intense needs.
That's what I thought, but it's
It's a challenge,
the
and
way
how
it's
do we?
stated, it's not.
So we can
Right.
change that stating a little bit to say growth in numbers and intensity for students.
Why is special ed growing, or?
Well, the challenge is because it's growing. How are we supporting the students and managing that, and that's one of the
That's kind of
issues.
what I thought.
Yes,
you were, Where
exactly.
you were going, but
Yeah, it kind of got condensed into,
yeah, no, that's okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it seems to me that with the change in funding, when that happens, that becomes a bigger problem because our total population is the same no matter what.
I would also say, you know, that we have a team working, supporting the schools in MTSS. So it's really trying to see the marrying of that pieces of work. And I know right now they're, at least with the work that I'm focused on at BFA, there's been great support in trying to just figure out what is. And that's what we're trying to really kind of uncover, take that audit approach right now.
Okay.
So I have another question. Are we gonna get a separate update on what's going on in the high school transcripts? Or
Not for
not
tonight.
really? Not for tonight, but on a regular basis?
I would think that, I'd have to talk with Jeff on that, but if that's something the board wanted, we could do that.
Yeah, for me, it's gonna be important
Yes.
that we get an update on that, because I think it's still in flux. Like, I haven't heard what the next steps are, and I don't know when semester ends, but I think we're already halfway through or more first semester. And I just think it's really important that students have a really good understanding of what it looks like before the end of the semester.
Yeah, the high school transcript for seniors is not changing.
No.
That it's at right now.
I understand that, but I think it's important for, like, the junior class, it's gonna be dealing with this in, a semester and a half, that they have a good understanding of how their proficiencies are gonna be transcribed out for the rest of the year.
I agree.
Okay.
I would certainly like to hear twice a month about what's happening. Definitely.
Any other questions? Nilda, do you have any questions?
Nilda, do you have any questions?
No, I don't. I keep muting my phone and have to unmute it, so it takes a second.
Thank you.
Not a question, but I guess just a clarification. I mean, when you just brought up, MTSS, you would argue that that would cover everything on this list in some, not all of it, I should say, but a lot of it. So
It's too broad a category for us.
Too
We
broad
know
a
what we're working on.
Mhm.
So I agree with you, Johanna. It could really be, that could be the umbrella for all the work in which we're doing. And I think a lot of us see it that way. I don't want to speak for all my colleagues, but hopefully I'm getting at least one head nod. So that's really our umbrella for most of our work.
I mean, just like for number one, when you talk about the need for additional behavioral support, so much of that, the need for additional behavioral support is dependent on the different material levels of education that you're providing, right? I mean, so instruction, curriculum, engagement with students, and so on. So I don't know, it was interesting to just have that one cut pulled out. Can you speak more about that?
About the behavioral support?
Yeah.
We're seeing a lot of our work right now is really concentrated in supporting student behaviors. And so I think I can speak for all of my colleagues in saying that we're probably putting the majority of our work in that right now. I've found that being the principal at BFA, that's very true.
That's across all grades, or?
Yep.
That's why I got top rating.
That's why I got top rating. I mean, it was a pretty easy one. None of us were like, I don't think that's it, not it.
I was just gonna add a very small piece that I think we would also agree it's needed for additional behavior and mental health support. Because what we're seeing is a need of behavioral support, but also a lot of mental health need and support as well. And sometimes they go hand in hand, sometimes they do not. They're two completely different situations that you're trying to address and support, so.
And it's the way our systems are set up, which I think is correct with what I know of research, and I'll let Alexis cut me off. But we're in a response system, and it's individual.
Yeah.
So that takes a lot of personnel time.
Right, and I guess that's my question, are you, you said that you have to go and define it, right? You're operating on what the issues are. Are you saying that is how you want to continue going, or are you interested in looking at those other aspects that I was talking about, maybe it is special ed, maybe it is, tier 1 instruction, maybe it is, additional supports in the classroom, because, we know that when kids are misbehaving in school, that sometimes it's because of academics, right? They're not engaged, they don't understand what's going on, they're having problems academically. Yes, it can be that somebody's just having a behavioral issue, but more times than not, it's because of, lack of school engagement. So are we just gonna be looking at it from a behavioral point of view, or are we gonna be looking at it from
We're looking at all of it.
Yeah.
It's very complex, and we're looking at all the aspects of it, absolutely.
When you go through the more conversations of what you agree on, what the scope is for each of them, I think we'll get more.
Right. And that's why I said earlier, we're in the audit stages of that, at
Yeah.
least at BFA. And I think that, that the team from central office has been helping us with that. Because we have to clearly not only define what this is, but what's our data tell us? Not what research, we want to be informed by research, but research can't necessarily have the context of St. Albans. And so we have to be informed by the research so we make best practice decisions, but also what does our own local data tell us that's happening? And that's both a mixture of qualitative and quantitative. So we have to have the individual stories, along with the totals of the data. I was in 2 hours of meetings on this one today, and setting it up about how do we collect the data, so we really don't let our biases say, we jump to supports. You're jumping already, John, to possible ways to support it and solutions. We're not ready to do that yet, because we don't want to let our biases and what we think it is, because we're so wrapped in the system, to make us make a wrong prescription, a wrong intervention. So and I really want to champion Alexis and her work, because she's been the one pushing me on this and saying, no, let's slow down, let's make sure we have the data and make data-informed decisions, so we can then go look to best practice about what the data tells us. And we're gonna be doing that with all of these.
Great.
And then saying, and sometimes that's gonna get frustrating that we aren't moving faster, but in the long run, we'll probably be faster than having to restart different initiatives. And we are aware that our staff has initiative fatigue. So the worst thing we can do is try to do something without really being informed from where we're at.
Okay, that's pretty much what my question was. It just seemed like when you have it on here as need for additional behavior support, I thought that that's the road that you were going on. Do you know what I'm saying? Instead of maybe it being said that to identify and assess what the behavioral issues are and where are they stemming from.
So again, this is something that the board needs to be kept informed about. We love hearing all the good things, but we know not everything that goes on is wonderful, and we really need to be apprised of those things
We will
on
be.
a regular basis.
Yep, that's what we mentioned at the beginning. Okay, thank you.
You should go home. Go home.
We're sending Melanie.
We're sending Melly home. Can we send Melly home?
We'll just go tomorrow as well.
Do we need a motion?
No, she sounds terrible.
Yeah.
I was sent home Friday, so
You should go home.
go.
We didn't let Kevin come in.
Go.
It's been busy.
Yeah, nobody wants to use it.
Yeah.
It's not contagious, the doctor said so.
Yeah, well,
No, but you need rest.
yeah.
Go rest.
You're not going to be able to talk tomorrow at all.
Okay, item 8B, teacher resignation.
So in your packet, you'll see a letter from Jody Martin. And then I think Nilda, you had asked, I think it was Nilda had asked for the email that was referenced, so that was sent around this afternoon.
I don't know if people saw that. It was,
Thank you for doing that.
So I attached the email that I had sent, that was referenced in that.
yeah.
And we would recommend that she be released from her contract.
Can I get a motion to accept the resignation of Jodine Martin?
So moved.
Thank you, Al. Thank you, Jack. Okay, any discussion? Do you want to talk about the penalty issues?
Yeah, I mean, we have a penalty in our contract, in our master agreement that says if a teacher leaves their job early, they can be assessed a $1,000, as for lack of better words, fine for doing that. When I came in and saw that, I think this is something for further discussion, but I'm not sure that it's something that legally this board can hold a signed employee to with Vermont labor law the way I understand it. I haven't had a chance to counsel our attorney to see if that's true, but I would never recommend that we do that because I think we could be in a really tough place if the employee wanted to challenge us in court.
Was that note that I saw from Pietro or?
Yeah, I read that.
Yeah, okay.
I don't think she should be penalized.
I would just say to the board, I think twice last year we tried to collect this and we're unable to, so. Anyway, so that's something for us to negotiate on the contract, getting rid of that. Any other questions?
I mean, I don't want to talk about this person's situation, but I am interested as to why they thought that it was.
So I would suggest that we go into executive session.
Yeah, I guess I
if
would-
you'd like to have that conversation.
Okay.
Okay,
So do we have to make that motion?
we will. We'll need yes, we can just make a motion to, actually, we can just say that we're gonna move it to executive session. We'll make a motion to go in later.
Okay.
So, Al, can you withdraw your motion to accept the resignation?
Sure.
Thank you, Jack. Good, okay. All right, we'll move that to executive session.
I'm not contesting.
We can find out about it. It's
I just want to
okay.
make that clear that I'm not contesting.
Yeah, so we'll move that to executive session under 1 VSA 313A3, the evaluation or employment of a public employee. Okay. That's your job now. We are on to other business. Item 9A, the warrants.
So moved.
Steve has them. Thank you, Al. Motion to approve the warrants. Can I get a second? Thank you, Sally. Any questions about the warrants? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, 8-0. We do not have a superintendent's report tonight. As
Can I make a mention in that?
You can if you'd like.
I just would like to I'd like the board to understand, I know you all, and some of you were there at the, at Veterans Day Memorial. I think I want to recognize John Chaffee from City School and all the great work he did to put that together, where the students not only did presentations, but he organized all four schools to be there. And I think John should have in the minutes a recognition of the hard work that he did to help lead the district there.
Yeah, I mean, they have a long history of that being a great event now.
Yeah,
and the weather didn't really
The weather didn't help, but he deserved, and I know for myself, being new to the event and having to help be one of the organizers of it, he was invaluable to me. And so I really thank him taking up the lead on that for the district. And I think I just wanted to say that and get that in the minutes.
Good, thank you. Item 9C, your chance, Leanne, if you have anything else you want to add?
We've attached our report with photos and happenings around our center. Hope you enjoy it.
Pretty busy. Item 9D, board announcements. Any board members want to share something?
Well, I read an article in the New York Times in April of this year, and there were 22 states that had cursive writing back in the curriculum at that time.
Sue? No? No? Anybody else?
I should have emailed Joanna, because at the superintendent's conference that I went to with Kevin, I went to a workshop on board goals. And the basic thing that was presented by two lawyers the outgoing executive director of the School Boards Association and the incoming director, who is also a lawyer, their,
That was the lady that was here, one of the ladies,
Yeah.
Sue Siglaski.
yeah, their recommendation is you take your mission statement, and board goals should be aligned to the mission statement. I was hoping they would say, these are board goals, and they, they would hand out board goals, but it wasn't that simple. It was a discussion about taking your mission statement, and first of all, boards should not get into the administration of the schools. So you've got to keep the roles and responsibilities separate. So the board should look at overarching goals that are based on the school district's mission statement, and not to get into the weeds. So that was basically what I learned.
Good. And I should say, Alicia was in the newspaper yesterday. I don't know if anybody saw that, but
Yep.
not in the day in court section. It was a good thing.
I do have one announcement.
I
was
knew
just,
it.
yeah. So, I don't know the real details, but there were students from, or at least one student from BFA that went to the National 4-H Dairy Quiz Bowl.
Oh, I saw that, yes.
And one of the students placed 9th out of overall, one of the
In the
students
whole
from
country?
BFA.
Wow.
Yeah. And that student was actually Maya Jaros. Just want to put that out there.
Yes. Congratulations.
Yes.
That was wonderful. I saw it.
Yep.
She's holding
I
back.
don't mind
on-
bragging.
Knows a lot
Yeah.
about cows.
I don't mind bragging about Maya.
Okay, item 10, agenda items for future meetings. Obviously, we will have a goal discussion at some point. I know our next meeting, that group that I talked to you about last time that I mentioned about coming in with a facility proposal for Collins Pearly will be making a presentation.
So are we putting
Jeff?
board goals on the next?
We'll see if I get some.
Still
Who
talking.
can-
Well,
Yeah.
I don't think that you should be getting refined goals. I think you should be getting ideas for goals. My
Right.
idea.
No, that's,
for
I'm not
ideas.
expecting, yeah, I just want ideas.
Okay.
Okay.
That's
so
why,
I'm
that's how I
just gonna
thought we
say
left it
ditto
last
on.
time. Yeah, I thought everybody was in agreement. It was actually Joanna's idea to think about it, write down some ideas,
You know, I'm
send them to me.
actually gonna say, Jeff, it's not my idea. It's what the woman from Susan, I'm sorry, her name again, please. The woman that came to our board retreat.
Sue Siglaski, she wasn't the one to talk the most. It was, I can't remember her name now.
Jeff, if I could recommend that we invite in Friends of Franklin County Football to go over the spending and those that have donated and all at our next meeting, because I understand there is some question as to why we gave them the entire $90,000. So I would think that it would behoove us to bring them in so they can explain all their purchases and what is left and how much money it ended up costing them.
Okay, I'll have to talk to you about that, Al. And get some more details.
What about budget? Is that gonna be budgets and stuff? That's coming up, I'm sure.
Where's Martha? Martha was here sometime.
Oh, it'll be coming up. It definitely will be coming on one of your next future grad meetings.
Okay.
I'm sure it will.
Okay, can I get a motion to go into executive session under 1 VSA 313A3 to include the assistant superintendent?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Al.
Second.
Thank you, Steve. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes have it, 8-0. We are in executive session.